duck in the world! Why didn't you send up more ships to look for her? Then you encouraged her to keep flying through a cosmic storm? You could have called her down. There were too many variables.
So you're the reason our mom is gone. Cheap old Scrooge probably bailed as soon as it put a dent in his money bin.
Well, you've successfully pushed your family and everyone who cared about you away. Again. I hope you're happy.
I am.
Today, I want to talk about a character we've all known since childhood. A figure synonymous with mountains of gold coins, spectacles perched on the edge of a beak, and that iconic top hat. We know him as the richest duck in the world, the stingy uncle, or the restless adventurer. But behind the slapstick comedy of swimming in a money bin and petty squabbles with his nephews, there lies a narrative far darker, deeper, and hauntingly relevant to our modern world. It's a story of how ambition can be both a savior and a prison, and how childhood trauma can dictate every breath we take, even when we already have everything. This is the story of Scrooge McDuck. Scrooge is more than just a cartoon. He's a financial icon on par with the likes of Warren Buffett, Jeff Bezos, or even Bill Gates. But unlike them, Scrooge exists in a league of his own. He is the ultimate self-made duck. In a world where people can see their lives fall apart after just a few months of unemployment, there's a lot we can learn from Scrooge about the true meaning and the true cost of managing wealth. What does it mean to be successful? For most of us, success is a finish line. A number in a bank account, a title before our name, or a confirmation from the world that we've finally arrived. We believe that once we reach a certain point, our fears will vanish. Our insecurities will evaporate. But Scrooge is living proof of one of the bitterest truths about humanity: that you cannot fill a hole in your soul with material things, no matter how high you stack them. Scrooge was born in Glasgow, Scotland, in suffocating poverty. He wasn't born into royalty. He was a street kid who had to work hard just to survive. And there was one moment in his life that changed everything, a moment that became the big bang of his entire personality. At that time, he was working as a bootblack, scrubbing the boots of a filthy ditch digger. After working his heart out, he was paid with an American 10-cent coin, a coin that was completely worthless in Scotland at the time. To anyone else, it might have been bad luck. But to a little boy named Scrooge, it was an insult. It was a message from the world that his hard work could be betrayed, that he could be cheated, and that he was powerless to fight back. In that moment, he made a vow. He would become the richest, the smartest, and the toughest, so that no one would ever be able to look down on him again. That coin, which we now know as the #1 dime, isn't just a lucky charm. It's a monument to his pain. It's a daily reminder that the world is cruel, and the only way to survive is to be tougher and stronger than the world itself. This is what people often misunderstand about Scrooge's stinginess. As often discussed in various character psychology literatures, Scrooge's frugality isn't about blind greed. It's about the integrity of hard work. To Scrooge, a single coin is a representation of 1 second of his sweat in the Klondike mines, 1 drop of his blood in the North Pole, and 1 sleepless night in the wilderness. Squandering 1 coin feels like insulting his own life struggle. He isn't cheap because he wants to hurt others. He's cheap because he deeply respects every inch of the effort he built from zero. But here is the tragedy. In his effort to ensure no one could ever hurt him again, Scrooge built a fortress, and that fortress is the money bin. That giant vault isn't just a storage unit. It is physical isolation from the outside world. Scrooge believed that absolute independence was the key to happiness. He didn't want to owe anyone, depend on anyone, and ultimately, he didn't want to love anyone, because love is a risk. Love means giving someone the power to hurt you, and Scrooge swore that would never happen again. We see this pattern in many high achievers in the real world. Those chased by the trauma of past poverty or rejection often fall into what is called a scarcity mindset. No matter how much they have, inside their heads, they are still that poor kid terrified of being hungry tomorrow. Their wealth becomes a shield, but the shield is so heavy they can no longer embrace anyone else. Scrooge left his love, Goldie O'Gilt, back in the Klondike. Why? Not because he didn't love her, but because at that moment, gold offered something love couldn't. Certainty. Gold won't leave you. Gold won't betray you. Gold won't laugh at you when you fall. Scrooge chose inanimate objects because he was too afraid of the fragility of living things. He won the global race for wealth, but he lost the battle against his own loneliness. For years, he lived in this cycle of accumulation. He traveled the globe, defeated enemies, acquired companies, and watched the numbers in his ledgers grow. But notice his expression when he sits alone atop his pile of coins. There is no joy, only vigilance, the fear that someone will steal his worth, his wealth. This is the prison he built for himself. He is the king of a kingdom filled only with cold metal. Then came his nephews, Huey, Dewey, and Louie. Their arrival was a disruption to his cold, orderly life. They were variables that couldn't be calculated in a balance sheet. But ironically, these kids were the ones who began to dismantle the walls Scrooge had spent decades building. They didn't see him as the richest man in the world. They saw him as Uncle Scrooge. They didn't care about his stock prices. They cared about his stories. Through them, Scrooge realized a fundamental transformation of value. Money, in the end, is just paper and metal if there is no story behind it. Scrooge's money bin is actually a library of memories. Every coin there is a reminder of adventure, bravery, and resilience. And he realized his true legacy wasn't the gold he'd leave behind, but the spirit he passed on to the next generation. Scrooge McDuck teaches us about the other side of ambition, that there is nothing wrong with being sharp, brave, and tough. There is nothing wrong with valuing the fruits of your labor and refusing to waste them for the sake of empty validation from others. However, he also serves as a warning. If your only goal is to prove to the world that you matter, you will never have enough, because the world never truly cares. The people who once insulted you might be gone or indifferent, yet you're still running on the same treadmill. Scrooge's story is a reflection of redemption. In his old age, he began to understand that true wealth is having someone to share the story of how that wealth was earned. He started using his fortune not as a shield to hide behind, but as fuel for new adventures with his family. He learned that the most valuable coin in his life wasn't the first one he earned, but the coin he used to buy memories with the people he loved. Ultimately, what can we learn from Uncle Scrooge? First, that your self-worth is not determined by how much you have, but by the integrity you maintain during the process of getting it. Scrooge took pride in getting his wealth by being smarter than the smarties and tougher than the toughies, but he stayed honest. Second, that past trauma can be an incredible engine, but if left uncontrolled, it will drive you to a very cold and lonely place. You can win the world, but what's the point if you lose your soul in the process? Third, that true strength is the courage to be vulnerable again. For Scrooge, giving his trust to Donald and his nephews was much harder than facing robbers or monsters in a hidden cave. But that is exactly where he found his true freedom. Scrooge McDuck died 1,000 times in his loneliness before he finally started living when he opened his doors to his family. He reminds us that we are all shining our own boots, looking for our own 10-cent coin. But don't become so obsessed with the coin that you forget to look at the faces around you. The tragedy of Scrooge McDuck is that he almost became the gold itself, hard, cold, and static. His victory, however, was choosing to remain a duck, with all the emotions, mistakes, and warmth that come with it. He stopped proving himself to the world and started living for himself and those who meant something to him. Because at the end of our journey, we won't be measured by how deep we can swim in a vault of gold. but by how deeply we have touched the lives of others. Be as tough as Scrooge when facing the world's challenges, but never let your heart freeze like the gold you keep, because wealth that cannot be shared is the truest form of poverty.